Here I have a ThinkPad T61. This machine came out in 2008 and it is rocking a Core 2 Duo T8100. Now, to start off, I'm going to go over the ports. So starting here is your fan grill. You got a VGA out, a 56K modem, Ethernet, two vertical USB 2.0 ports, a PC express card slot. Moving around to the front, you have a mini display, Wi-Fi, wireless toggle switch, headphone jack, microphone jack, latch for the lid, CD, ROM, rewritable, all that junk, and another USB 2.0. Moving on to the back, it's not much. Empty battery slot because when I bought this machine the battery was completely dead, and an additional fan grill and your AC adapter. So moving around to the top of the laptop, it's got that classic ThinkPad matte rubberized finish. Mine's got a couple of little chips in it, but that's no big deal. It's a 12-year-old laptop. Right here you've got your battery indicator light, if you're plugged in or not, indicator light, and sleep indicator. Opening the laptop up, you have a relatively small trackpad with two dedicated buttons, and also you have the famous track point, which some people love, some people hate. I use it sometimes, but I prefer trackpad. You have the renowned classic ThinkPad keyboard, and you have a number of indicator lights, including your wireless, num lock, caps lock, your hard drive indicator light. Actually not really sure what this one is, and the same three that are on the lid. Moving on to the display, this is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio 1200 by 800 CCFL backlit display, and that's something you have to be wary about when purchasing one of these machines. The CCFLs, they stopped making them for a reason. That's because it's actually a fluorescent backlight that over time, with more hours of use, will get dimmer and darker until it eventually dies, which is what's happening to my T60 right now. So booting this machine up is relatively fast. I am using a 256 gigabyte Kingston SSD, so it's not the fastest SSD in the world, but it gets the job done. So I'll go ahead and boot it up real quick and give you guys an impression of how fast this machine boots into Windows 10. There you have it. Not the fastest boot in the world, but it is definitely usable. So my particular configuration is a Core 2 Duo T8100 at 2.1 gigahertz. And I have currently 3 gigabytes of RAM installed. So opening up Chrome is very snappy. It takes about a second and a half to open, and using websites is a breeze on this machine. And I'll demonstrate that by going to probably one of the most script-heavy websites on the internet, CNN.com. As you can see, opens right up. It's going to be a little bit of glitching because my ad blocker that I'm using, but other than that, it's completely usable. There's no lagging, no stuttering. Just opens right up. Click on an article. Takes a second to load. It's more my internet than anything else. Opens right up. All this white space and stuff is, like I said, because of my ad blocker. So with what I believe to be 720p video playing on CNN.com, my temps are about 120, give or take, and that's using ThinkPad fan control. to override the BIOS, and so it only cuts on, I think I have it configured when it hits about 140. However, you can either choose, using this program, you can either choose to have it, the BIOS, a smart, which is configurable by the user, or a manual mode, which I'll demonstrate here, because one of the biggest problems I've had with purchasing used ThinkPads, and I've had it on my X230, my T430, and my T60, is the fan can be very, very rattly sounding. And sometimes this one does it, sometimes it doesn't, so I think they're just now starting to go bad. But it's actually pretty annoying. When it's not doing it, it's not really that loud. So if I be quiet for a minute, you might be able to hear a little bit of it. Actually more noticeable at lower RPM than it is at its max. But to answer the title of this video, is a T61 still usable in 2020 and beyond? And quite simply put, yes, it is. The Core 2 Duo is a very, very capable productivity machine, and while I can't speak for video editing, I would have to guess that it would struggle, mainly because of its lack of a dedicated GPU, and its, at least in my configuration, low amount of RAM. And even in the top configuration, if you're doing 4K video, obviously this is not going to cut it. This is probably going to be able to do 720p at the max, and if you're going to be using using this for video editing, this is not a machine for you. For school and basic productivity work, this machine is perfect. It's got the classic ThinkPad keyboard, which I enjoy. I enjoy both keyboards, but regardless, it's got a great keyboard. Trackpad's small, but you can always plug in a mouse, or you can just use the trackpad or the track point. Some people swear by it. Some people will go as far as disabling the trackpad altogether. But I think the T61 is a very, very good machine, and I think this machine will still be usable, and even as far as 4 years from now. But yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe in 4 years I'll update this video. Who knows?